It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I mean, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
Sunny Hostin just got hit with a verbal takedown so intense by Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly, it might need its own UN peacekeeping mission. 1 second, she's casually sipping her tea on The View, and the next, she's metaphorically tripping over her cue cards. So what exactly went down on live TV that left her blinking like she just opened a bill from her internet provider? Strap in, because this clash had more unexpected twists than a reality show written by overworked, over-caffeinated interns. They're downright disgusting. You, Sunny, in your wildest dreams could never solo host a show. You'll only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you can forget about ever achieving the level of success Tucker Carlson has. So go ahead, sit in your little cheap seats, clucking away with your negative, henpecking comments, but your careers are going nowhere. Meanwhile, Tucker is on the rise. Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly, two personalities notorious for speaking their minds, seem to finally reach their breaking point with Sunny's overconfident intellect. Mars-level dry sarcasm from Bill Maher clashed with Megyn Kelly's icy surgical dismantling, and suddenly, Sunny's once steady platform began to resemble a wobbly IKEA stool. The entire exchange felt less like a debate and more like an academic demolition derby, one where Sunny showed up armed with a glitter glue stick, while the others rolled in with bulldozers.
Whoopi Goldberg, because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So everybody was like, "Oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma." First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. It just happened to go.
Let's start with Sunny's favorite hobby, wielding her law degree like it's a lightsaber forged in the fires of smugness. At this point, her credentials might as well be tattooed across her forehead. Former federal prosecutor, legal expert, and professional finger wagger. But let's be real, whenever someone kicks off a sentence with "as a lawyer," you can almost guarantee what follows will either be wildly off the mark, painfully obvious, or just downright annoying. Sunny somehow manages to hit all three marks in one go, delivering what feels like a legal TED Talk, minus the facts, but crammed full of moral superiority. And to top it off, that hot mess they air in the mornings, The View, had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 legal corrections. 4 legal notes. And let's not forget what they did during that debate, where, once again, they tried to fact-check only one side. But when their fact-checks got fact-checked, they completely cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is becoming a pattern. What's truly remarkable, though, is Sunny's uncanny ability to turn literally any topic, whether it's the weather, TikTok trends, or even the proper storage temperature for mayonnaise, into a discussion about racial injustice. She could witness a puppy rescue and somehow find a way to spin it into a tale of systemic oppression. It's like watching a walking, talking version of Twitter, loud, performative, and seemingly determined to misunderstand everything on purpose. Even Whoopi, no stranger to dramatic takes, looked visibly exasperated by her co-host's latest train wreck.
Term you want.
Okay.
Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
Or maybe the super far right. Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Sunny Hostin didn't just get challenged, she got steamrolled in what felt like a philosophical demolition derby. And the only thing she walked away with was her signature frown of moral superiority. Having strong opinions is one thing, but turning every conversation into a high-altitude sermon delivered from Mount Condescension? That's Sunny's entire vibe. She's not interested in dialogue. She's starring in a courtroom drama where she's the judge, the jury, and the one cooing the applause. The problem? Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly don't follow that script. They don't rely on applause breaks or audience reactions. They bring facts, wit, and sharp logic. And just like that, Sunny's polished TED Talk energy starts unraveling into a bad improv performance where no one's laughing. Even when faced with undeniable truth, Sunny doesn't pivot. She just cranks up the volume, as if louder somehow equals smarter.
And finally, new rule, stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Bill Maher, seasoned and unshaken, watched Sunny's familiar routine unfold with the detached amusement of a professor grading yet another freshman essay titled, "Why I'm Always Right." He didn't interrupt. He didn't need to. Her monologue slowly unraveled on its own, each sanctimonious breath digging her deeper into a rhetorical pit filled with buzzwords, rehearsed outrage, and the unmistakable scent of self-congratulation. Then came Megyn Kelly, calm, razor-sharp, and almost surgical in her approach. Without raising her voice or resorting to theatrics, she methodically peeled away the layers of Sunny's faux gravitas, exposing the hollow core beneath, an echo chamber of recycled indignation.
Had a discussion on The View about world superpowers from the sound of it. That's how they got into it. And Sunny Hostin made some comments about patriotism and America and Black America. It's all in there, Jason. I mean, it's all in there. I'm going to tee it up. It starts with Alyssa Farah, who's supposed to be the Republican commentator. And then you'll hear Sunny jump in. Listen.
If America is not the #1 global power, it's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they're the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots. But when I listen to Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, he said white supremacy is the biggest domestic.
Sunny's entire approach hinges on one thing: never being challenged. She thrives in monologue, not dialogue, preferring to accuse, dramatize, and moralize as if she's performing in a play. But when someone like Megyn Kelly calmly punctures that carefully inflated balloon, the collapse is swift and unavoidable. What followed wasn't just a minor misstep or a rhetorical slip. It was a full-scale ideological faceplant. Because when your entire persona is built on the fragile scaffolding of moral superiority, even the softest note of dissent feels like a seismic shock. And this time, that delicate house of cards didn't merely shake. It came crashing down in a truly spectacular, cringe-worthy fashion. Donald Trump is set to be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States on January 20th. Yay, not everyone is thrilled about it, and many would prefer us to stay focused on the insurrection he personally stoked. According to them, it's as bad as, well, the Holocaust. Don't just take my word for it. Here's Sunny Hostin on January 6th. It was an atrocity, one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, things like World War II, the Holocaust, chattel slavery, January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust. Now, if you ask Megyn Kelly, who has a particular knack for provoking reactions in Sunny like a fire alarm going off in a nap room, you'll quickly realize her presence is like a lightning rod. It's almost amusing to watch how Sunny's voice jumps an octave the instant Megyn's name is mentioned. Megyn has a rare and, to some, almost mythical talent, the ability to deliver facts in clear, logical sentences. On The View, that's practically witchcraft. If you dare present data or outline a rational argument without the theatrics of a dramatic hair toss or a spiraling emotional rant, you're basically a threat to the entire show's ecosystem. While Sunny is clutching her pearls over the latest, vague political apocalypse, this week brought to you by Undefined Dread and MSNBC, Megyn simply cuts through the noise, calm and composed. She cites sources, she uses statistics, she speaks without raising her voice. It's a mesmerizing spectacle. Sunny's emotional outbursts and interpretive dance-like gestures meant to symbolize oppression, while Megan, unruffled, calmly fires off precision-guided missiles of reason. Sunny's approach feels more like an art performance, brimming with dramatic flair, while Megan remains laser-focused, methodically dismantling the flimsy scaffolding of Sunny's arguments. It's like watching a chess game where one side is operating on pure emotion and the other is playing with cold, calculated logic. Sunny tries to frame woke as a term historically rooted in the Black community, used to raise awareness about social injustice. A noble cause, no doubt. But as she speaks, it feels less like a rational discussion and more like an emotional performance. And while Sunny's outbursts are loud, they lack the strength of reason. Megan, on the other hand, isn't here to shout. She's here to refute. One clear, concise statement at a time. The difference is stark. Sunny comes armed with emotional smoke bombs, hoping to distract and disorient, while Megan calmly cuts through the fog, making it clear that reason will always have the last word. Sunny Hostins. Response to facts and logic is like watching someone bring a coloring book to a chess tournament and then get upset when their opponent actually knows how the pieces move. Every time Megyn Kelly introduces reason or data, Sunny retreats into moral outrage. It's like insisting 2 + 2 = injustice and acting outraged when someone pulls out a calculator. Sunny's allergic to humor too, turning any joke or sarcasm into an affront to her moral superiority. Meanwhile, Megan calmly dismantles her arguments with precision, proving that logic wins without the need for emotional tirades. Sunny Hostin's perspective on humor seems to misunderstand its core purpose. Comedians are supposed to push boundaries, provoke thought, and make light of uncomfortable topics, including politics. It's part of their job to joke about everyone, regardless of political affiliation. Sunny's struggle with this concept isn't just about personal preference. It's a deeper misunderstanding of the role comedy plays in society. Meanwhile, Whoopi Goldberg's outrage over Alyssa Farah's comment about Trump and Biden was a classic case of the show's selective outrage. While they regularly promote certain politicians, the double standard and emotional reactions to others expose how skewed their opinions can be. Expecting Bill Maher to avoid joking about public figures is as absurd as walking into a bakery and acting surprised by the smell of fresh bread. Yet every time Maher delivers a punchline, Sunny Hostin reacts like someone just spilled her deepest secrets from middle school, complete with the awkward poetry. She clutches her pearls, gasping, in disbelief, as if personal offense is a valid response to a comedy monologue. But the real highlight was when she tried, and failed, to out-intellectualize Maher and Megyn Kelly, making her attempts to appear profound feel like a mismatch in a high-stakes intellectual debate. Sunny's attempt to sling historical references was as chaotic as a toddler throwing spaghetti, messy, frantic, and completely lacking direction. She flung half-baked legal jargon around like it was going out of style, trying to sound profound, but landing somewhere between a desperate Wikipedia binge and an incoherent rant. If this had been a courtroom, the stenographer would have probably given up, labeled it as incoherent babble, and demanded a union break. And when confronted about calling white Republican women cockroaches, her denial only added to the absurdity, leaving her grasping for a defense that wasn't there. Bill Maher, cool as ever, sat unfazed as Sunny's tirades bounced off him like Nerf darts hitting concrete. This wasn't his first ideological rodeo. He's been navigating cultural minefields since dial-up internet days. He knew the drill: stay calm, deliver a well-timed quip, and let the chaos speak for itself. As Sunny's volume increased, his composure only made her spiraling theatrics more glaring. And while she insisted on talking over everyone, Bill calmly asked the group to tone it down, proving once again that when you've been in the game this long, you don't need to shout to win. You could almost see Bill Maher's years of media experience kicking in every time Sunny tried to pin him down. With her righteous indignation, she seemed convinced she was delivering a powerful, show-stopping closing argument, the kind destined for viral reposts on Instagram accounts named things like Woke Warrior Queen. Meanwhile, Maher was already halfway through his third glass of red wine, mentally checking the time for his flight home. The contrast couldn't have been more apparent. Sunny's fire and brimstone versus Maher's calm, collected, and barely engaged demeanor, like he was just biding his time until the next punchline. Megyn Kelly, with her trademark calm and composure, didn't raise her voice when she responded, She didn't need to. While others might have reacted with emotional outbursts, Kelly simply pointed out the absurdity of equating support for Trump with something as extreme as a swastika. She made it clear that you can disagree with Trump without demonizing the millions of people who support him. In a moment of reason, she reminded everyone that a country divided by hate was not one she wanted to live in. It was a grounded, rational response to the kind of hyperbolic rhetoric that often dominates the conversation. Sunny's moral outrage was on full display, but Megyn Kelly calmly sliced through it with the precision of a surgeon. Each rebuttal Kelly offered seemed to erode Sunny's position, leaving her looking increasingly out of touch with reality, as if she were trying to convince everyone that the truth was just another subjective viewpoint. What's truly striking is Sunny's unwavering conviction in her moral superiority, as if her opinions were undeniable truths set in stone. Yet, in the face of reason, it became clear that her righteous indignation was no match for Kelly's methodical logic and composure. Sunny's approach isn't about dialogue. It's more like a performance where she casts herself as the sole authority, issuing verdicts on moral issues with a side of self-righteousness. It's not a conversation, but a one-woman courtroom drama, with her as judge, jury, and prosecutor, expecting applause for each dramatic gesture. The problem is, she's not even compelling in her delivery. Her so-called enlightenment is a mix of condescension, cherry-picked stats, and emotional anecdotes, often basing her arguments on the most superficial sources, like a Starbucks menu, as if they somehow validate her grandiose claims about systemic injustice. By the end of it all, instead of being enlightened, you're left questioning if you even have the right to form your own opinion. The irony is that Sunny touts herself as a defender of women, until another woman disagrees with her. Suddenly, the sisterhood becomes a battlefield, and if you don't toe the line, you might as well be excommunicated. When Megyn Kelly dared to suggest that not every disagreement stems from racism or sexism, Sunny acted like she was ready to revoke her woman card. It's the perfect example of what Sunny thinks empowerment looks like, fiercely gatekeeping who's allowed to think differently. The grand finale of this meltdown was when Sunny tried to shift from losing the debate to casting herself as the moral victim. It's the classic fallback move. When logic fails, lean into emotions. As her facts crumbled, Sunny turned to her feelings, and when even that couldn't save her, she hit the panic button, accusing the other side of threatening democracy, puppies, and, yes, brunch. Her versatility in emotional manipulation is impressive, if nothing else. But Bill Maher wasn't having any of it. With his usual dry wit, he pointed out the absurdity of her antics, leaving Sunny sputtering into her mic, desperately trying to salvage what little dignity she had left. Meanwhile, millions of viewers let out a collective sigh, wishing someone, anyone, would just say something that actually made sense. Sunny Hostin's collapse in real time wasn't just about a verbal misstep. It was the unraveling of a worldview that couldn't bear the weight of its own contradictions. She entered the conversation thinking louder meant right, ready to save democracy with moral superiority. Instead, she got a front-row seat to a masterclass in logic, wit, and the simple but powerful idea that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't the sharpest person in the room, especially when others don't need cue cards to make a solid point. While her supporters might try to spin it as a bold stand, the rest of us saw it for what it really was: a tantrum in heels, desperately clinging to the illusion of moral clarity in a world that's increasingly tired of the noise. There's a reason people hit mute when Sunny talks. It's not about disagreement, it's about exhaustion. They'd rather listen to a dentist drill than endure another 10-minute lecture on how humor equals oppression. No matter how loudly she yells, how passionately she clutches her pearls, or how many times she insists she's right, one thing remains. Clear, Sunny Hostin got absolutely torched on live television. And in the wake of that moment, one word echoes: overexposed. If you're tired of performative outrage masquerading as intellectual debate, share this with someone who still thinks yelling louder makes you right. And if you believe facts, wit, and reason still matter in public discourse, don't just scroll, speak up. The mic isn't just for the loudest voice, it's for the clearest.